Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I will be covering the severe weather outbreak today and tomorrow across much of the country, and then a snowstorm this week with significant snowfall accumulations, and then a cross-country winter storm next week is possible with more heavy snow and storms throughout the country. If you guys are with me here on the video, don't forget to press the subscribe button down below to get all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. across North America, Canada, the United States, and the tropics with everything in between. So hit the subscribe button down below, everyone, so you guys don't miss out on all of my weather forecasts each and every morning. But looking at the visible satellite imagery this morning, our first system is starting to get out of our hair up here across the southeast, and we're going to be dealing with our second system as it dives across the Four Corners region here this morning. And this will start to eject across the middle of the country towards the western Great Lakes as we go through Thursday afternoon. And in fact, you can see this with the 500 millibar vorticity signature. This shows the energy in the mid-levels of the atmosphere going into this afternoon. You can see that is down across portions of Arizona into New Mexico and the panhandle of Texas, and then that will start to open up and eject across the Midwest and into the western Great Lakes going into Thursday afternoon and evening on February 16th. But again, if you guys are with me on the video, don't forget to press the like button down below, the thumbs up button down below the video. It helps to get all of this weather information out to more and more people across YouTube, so I definitely appreciate if you would press the like button down below. But we are talking about a serious situation developing here. The Storm Prediction Center has upgraded parts of the Mid-South to a level 3 enhanced risk. This does include western Tennessee, including the Memphis area, Jackson, Tennessee, and then down into northwestern Mississippi, eastern portions of Arkansas, including near the Little Rock area. So this is something concerning as we go through later on today and tonight, and also a larger zone of a slight risk, a level 2 of 5 here in the yellow. That stretches from southern Illinois, western Kentucky, all the way back west-southwestward toward northeast Texas and southeastern portions of Oklahoma and down into Louisiana. This does include Shreveport, Baton Rouge, Dallas, Fort Worth, and getting all the way up towards the Paducah, Kentucky area as we head through later on today. Looking at the hazards from the storms, we do have a significant hatched area for tornadoes where we could see EF2s or stronger later on today from Memphis all the way down through the eastern side of the Little Rock area into northwestern Mississippi, and then a large zone of a 2 to 5% shading of tornadoes getting through this evening here across much of the deep south. And then we also have a 30% shading for 60 plus mile per hour wind gusts across the mid-south as well, and the lower end threat for quarter size hail. So definitely something to watch out for going into this evening. So let's look at what the radar could look like starting at noon time frame. We got the snow back here across the Front Range moving into western Kansas. That's the cold side of the system, but the warm side out ahead of that, just some warm air advection type of sprinkles and showers across the central Gulf Coast states here as we go through the midday hours. As we go through late afternoon into early evening, still not too much going on. A little bit of initiation starting across the deep south into northern, northwestern Mississippi here into portions of the deep south going through the 6 o'clock time frame. We do have to watch a couple of these discrete cells because they could turn into supercells and pose a risk for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds through that 6 o'clock time frame. But it's really as we get through mid to late evening on Wednesday, we'll have to watch the cold front for some damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. But out ahead of the cold front is the main concern for tornadic storms, which could be more discrete in nature, and those are the ones that could pose a risk for long track tornadoes. That does include portions of Memphis, getting up toward Jackson, Tennessee, into portions of western Kentucky, and then farther west from there toward Little Rock. And then that cold front will be sweeping through the I-20 corridor down here into East Texas through 11 o'clock here this evening. These storms will continue rumbling their way eastward, going through the mid-Mississippi Valley as we go through 6 a.m. on Thursday. So again, it's going to be an overnight type of threat, a nocturnal tornado threat, and these are the most dangerous types of tornado events where they are overnight. So you want to have multiple ways to receive warnings, whether it's a weather radio, your smartphone, a laptop, anything like that, or just watching YouTube here with us live. So definitely want to be mindful of that. It also will be producing heavy rainfall. Our total rainfall accumulation from now through Thursday is going to be pretty decent here, from Kentucky down through middle western Tennessee, getting into the deep south here. We could be talking about 1 to 2 inches worth of rain, especially where we have repeated rounds of thunderstorms, and that does pose a risk for at least a marginal threat for flash flooding here from the Ohio River Valley farther southwestward towards the lower Mississippi Valley as we head through that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. Now moving ahead to Thursday, February 16th, that severe weather threat does extend farther east and even northward as well. This does include central Ohio all the way down into southeastern Indiana, central portions of Kentucky, middle Tennessee down toward Nashville, and then getting farther south from there into eastern Mississippi and west central Alabama. We do have to be on high alert through the day on Thursday during the morning, afternoon, and evening hours for a level 3 of 5, an enhanced risk for severe storms, and even a larger slight and marginal risk as well, covering much of the eastern 2/3 of the country. Looking at the hazards on Thursday, much of the same. Again, a small 10% hatched area for tornadoes. This does include near the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa area, getting back here towards the Jackson, Mississippi area as well. These could be long track, strong tornadoes. EF2s are stronger in that area, but even farther north, the tornado threat does extend all the way up into central Ohio, getting through the day on Thursday. A larger zone of a 15 to 30% shading of damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, and then a lower end threat for hail mainly down across Mississippi and Alabama that could be around quarter size as we get through the day on Thursday. So tracking this around noon time frame on Thursday, a lot of these areas, there'll be broken lines and segments of storms through the noon time frame here with the snow farther north. The cold front here moving across the east. We do have to watch out for these storms, and I do think the peak intensity will be around the dinner time frame on Thursday. Once again, the peak daytime heating here, and we're going to be watching out for these long track supercells that could be producing those tornadoes even after dark going into Thursday evening yet again, and then we'll start to wane down on the intensity of the severe weather going into early on Friday morning around 3 a.m., but we still might have to watch out for some smaller hail, some stronger wind gusts here getting in towards the mid-Atlantic and portions of the southeast into the western Carolinas and even towards the Atlanta metro area after midnight going into Friday morning. Also looking at heavy rainfall. So even if you don't see severe weather, a lot of us will be seeing heavy rainfall here from Thursday into Friday. These are your total rainfall accumulations. 1 to 2 inches is a good bet here from southwestern PA all the way south to the central Gulf Coast here towards New Orleans, getting into that Thursday, Friday time frame. That does pose a risk for a marginal and even a slight risk for flash flooding, especially into southeastern Kentucky, eastern portions of Tennessee. We're talking about the Knoxville, Crossville, and Cookville area here into portions of Tennessee with this threat on Thursday into Friday. But then we got to look at the wintry side of the system. We have a large zone of winter storm watches, winter weather advisories, and even winter storm warning upgrades from the central Rockies all the way through the central plains and western Great Lakes going through late this week. And this system is going to be spawning some heavy snow across the Front Range, getting into western Kansas, southwestern Nebraska here, and even parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle as we get through the noon hour here today. That will spread up into eastern Kansas toward the Kansas City metro area, northern portions of Missouri up toward Des Moines, and southwest Wisconsin, getting into the midnight time frame, moving into Thursday morning on February 16th. That'll be spreading farther east into Milwaukee, Green Bay, Chicago, and then much of central and northern Michigan, including the UP of Michigan, getting through Thursday evening around 6 o'clock. And looking at a decent swath of snow, significant snow at that, from now through Friday the 17th, from the central Rockies all the way through the central plains and the western Great Lakes going through that time frame. In fact, zooming it in, we could be seeing a solid swath of 6 to 10 inches of snow here from portions of northern Missouri back across southern portions of Nebraska, much of northwestern and northern Kansas, and then getting back toward the Front Range here near the Denver area, and then marching our way farther east across Des Moines, Iowa, a good 4 to 7 inches there. Iowa City to Cedar Rapids, around 6 to 8 inches. Rockford, Illinois, back toward Dubuque, Iowa here, and then up toward Madison. We could be seeing a good 4 to 7 inches of snow. Chicago, about a 1 to 3 inches in the Chicago metro area. Heavier amounts northward here toward Waukegan. Getting up toward Elgin, we could be seeing around 4 to 7 inches. Milwaukee, 4 to 7 inches. The farther south you go from Chicago, there will be less snow and more rainfall. And then more of that snow will be spreading up into northern Michigan, going through that time frame with around 6 inches there. Detroit, probably more of a dusting to a half an inch for you with this system in total. This will be causing some travel headaches as well through Friday, so you want to take it slow on the roads. We have that minor to moderate travel inconveniences and even some major impacts back into eastern Colorado on the Front Range, where we see some spots over a foot of snow with this system through Friday. But after that, getting to this weekend, it will be quieting down in a big way. You see a large area of high pressure down here across the southeast controlling our weather. Lots of sunshine starting to return on Saturday. And that continues more or less on Sunday, the 19th as well. So a big breather from our active weather there will be as we get into this weekend. And that will also be some good news coinciding with the weekend will be the warmer temperatures here. The temperature anomalies will be warming up here across the eastern 2/3 of the country on Saturday, the 18th, a good 10 to 20 degrees above normal. And that will continue going into Sunday, the 19th as well. In fact, looking at your high temperatures on Saturday, the 18th, will be warming up into the 40s and 50s across most of the eastern 2/3 of the country. So whatever snow we do get will start to melt away at that snowpack starting as early as Saturday the 18th and really even into Sunday as well. More of those 60s will be returning across the immediate Gulf Coast up towards the Carolinas and then back towards Texas on the 19th on Sunday. And then we have an active pattern setting up next week. Again, this is another active weather pattern as another trough starts to dig in out west and across the northern United States with a very energetic polar jet and subtropical jet phasing together somewhere across the middle of the country during the week next week. And this will be setting up a temperature battle zone. We'll have more Arctic air to work with across the north and more of that subtropical Pacific flow from the south, setting up that temperature battle zone here getting through the week next week, according to the GEFS Ensemble. And looking at the Ensemble guidance here this far out is good news because you want to see where you have overlap of where we could see snowfall with these systems moving in next week. You do see some decent snows up toward the Pacific Northwest through the portions of the northern plains, the central plains, and then getting through much of the Great Lakes regions. And that could extend farther north into portions of New England as well. So we'll have to watch that into next week. And even the CMC, which is the Canadian Ensemble guidance, is hinting at nearly the same thing as well in the similar zones. So definitely some heavier snow farther north, and it does look to include much of New England, potentially the I-95 corridor as well, getting through late next week. But looking at the long-range pattern through the very end of February on the 28th, that southeast ridge does remain intact, especially across Florida, the Carolinas, down toward Georgia and Alabama, with more troughs across the northwest bringing below normal temperatures through the end of the month up here. And that does look to become an active pattern and stay active through the end of the month and probably even beyond into early March, with a lot of these above normal precipitation anomalies showing up over top of that ridge with a kind of more of those clipper systems and more stronger subtropical jets moving in with some active weather towards the end of the month. So weather forecast recap for you. A severe weather outbreak looms for today and tomorrow with multiple hazards, tornadoes, long track strong tornadoes as well, overnight even. So definitely want to have be weather aware overnight. We also have damaging winds and large hail and heavy rainfall, of course. And then the snowstorm this week as well, with significant snowfall accumulations from the Front Range of the Rockies all the way through the western and central Great Lakes. Then a cross-country winter storm looking likely, especially across the northern United States and parts of New England going through next week with heavy snow and then storms to the south as we get towards the week next week. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. Get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. A great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.